Hey, folks, it's your buddy Mike Messier. I'm here with my Mike's Instant Movie Review Secrets at the Museum 2023 Lifetime Movie Network Shadow Veil Productions. Shadow Veil Productions uh, is the makers of this movie. Now, full disclosure, folks, this is going to be a biased review. I am friends with the filmmakers, very good friends with both The Shadow and The Veil. So it's Chelsea Vale who stars in this movie, is also the producer, the lead producer, and her counterpart, David Gear, really good friend of mine, who is in this movie as well. He's in the opening scene with a very important role, and also a producer on this thing. And it's a family affair. My buddy Tommy DiNucci, who I co-host An Action Weekly film podcast over on Tommy's YouTube channel, Tommy DiNucci film YouTube channel, Tommy DiNucci channel. He and I do a weekly podcast titled An Action about the film world. So, I mean, this review is me reviewing my friend's film, so not to say I can't be objective, but I probably can't. It's subjective. I mean, I'm going to have personal feelings towards these people. I'm very proud of their accomplishment. I'm not going to rake them over the coals. But I did enjoy the film. I did have some questions about the film after the first time I watched it. Now, admittedly, as I tend to do, folks, I tend to watch movies sometimes when I probably am not at 100%. I was tired. Uh, when I first watched this film, I had to go out. I had a birthday ceremony to attend. My attendance was mandatory for this birthday ceremony, and so when I came home, I wanted to watch the rest of the football game last Thursday night, and then I wanted to watch the movie. Now that being said, my mind was tired, and I knew that I didn't quite get everything the first time around. So I watched it again this morning, and now I think I got it. So my buddy Laza's checking in, and Laza is a viewer of the aforementioned An Action Film Podcast. Tommy DiNucci, our buddy there, is in this film as a detective. But really, this movie is about art, family, deception, and most importantly, secrets. Secrets at the museum. We have a character. We have one of those scenes where, like, there's the first scene of this movie. The first 10 minutes basically sets up everything else, and it takes place, I'd say, 20-25 years before everything else. Now this is where I come in just a little bit. My friend David Gear had asked me to be his acting coach through phone calls, texts, some emails about a year ago, less than a year ago actually, to help him with his character. He was the character of an artist um, who has given up his prized painting for this movie. I mean, for this art museum, the Freeman Art Museum. Now, unfortunately, David's character of Stephen Mason has given his best painting to a woman who's a curator for the museum, the Freeman Museum, but she has since passed away. So her husband, her widower, has taken over the business, and he is much more of a rigid, everything has to be in a written contract type. Yeah, buddy, I do have these sleeping issues. That is accurate, and I have sought medical attention for my sleeping issues, but it doesn't really help. So I do have problems with that, buddy. I feel you on that. So moving forth, the opening scene is basically Stephen Mason, played by David Gear, is confronting the widower. Mr. Freeman, played by Eric Lutz, as Robert Freeman, is confronting him. Where's my painting? What's the matter with you? What type of place is this? And unfortunately, there's two children that are witnesses. There is young Natalie is witnessing this confrontation, and I guess it's young Derek. Andrew G. Bennett, young man, is playing young Derek. He's witnessing this confrontation. Now, I don't know if you've ever been a kid, but I was a kid once. And if you've ever been in a situation where your parent is confronting like a friend's parent or a teacher, and you're kind of the kid, like sitting there watching your parent in a confrontation, it can be very tough and traumatizing, especially if you're not sure that your parent is in the right. because we're always taught this loyalty to the truth and to right and wrong, but we're also taught this loyalty to your parents. So, I mean, as a child, this can be a very traumatic situation, which I think this was a good scene here because these two kids are friends. Young Derek and young Natalie are friends, and they're sitting there having to watch their respective mother and father, or sorry, their two fathers fight with each other. So, not a good situation. Now, when the artist, Stephen Mason, played by David Gear, bolts, he doesn't look in the street and he gets hit by a car and he's basically killed on impact, which is just sad. Thanks, buddy. I do appreciate this. Laz is putting me over. For those of you that are listening to this while you're driving your vehicle, I will read Laz's wonderful situation here. Mikey Messier does a great job with acting coaching, done some stuff online with him from all the way over here in Australia. I highly encourage people to hit him up for some acting advice. And furthermore, about my greatness, also Mikey Messier does a great job on Cameo, if anyone is so Cameo inclined. Thanks, Laza from Australia. So, getting back to the film here, we have a traumatic setup, childhood trauma. I mean, that's what's one of many deep themes in this movie. And then we kind of move forward 25 years and we see like this little gathering, like three people are kind of painting. And it's basically Natalie, who's now 25 years older, 20, 25 years older. She's painting. She's got this boyfriend guy, Forrest Qualia plays Alex, her boyfriend, and then they've got a third friend there with them, and they're painting. Okay, and then Natalie gets this phone call that her father's in the hospital, and this is where the secrets start to unravel a little bit because when she gets this phone call about her father being in the hospital, she does not want her significant other to come with her to the hospital, and the significant other, the Alex character, is like, hey, what's up? Why doesn't she want me to go to the hospital to meet her dad? I've never met her father. Well, the big reveal is that Natalie has actually been using her deceased mother's last name, maiden name, as her own last name. She's actually ashamed to be a Freeman. Now, I don't know if this was some type of conscious commentary, say that 10 times fast, conscious commentary on the Freemasons. It could have been. I mean, I'm wondering. I'm thinking that it probably was. But the Freemans in this movie are not very well respected. Well, they're kind of feared. Like they're kind of the rich family in the neighborhood that everyone hates. So I don't know if that was a thing on the Freemasons or not. It reminded me in my days of going to Maine for a film acting workshop I used to go to. There was this family called the Wyeths of Rockland, Maine. And there was all these different artists in this Wyeth family, and everybody like bent the knee for the fucking Wyeths up in Maine. They actually really were a pretty damn good artists. About that's just the town was so submissive to this Wyeth family name. It was incredible. So the Freemans kind of have that thing going. That's what that reminded me of, and so on and so forth. So basically, it's revealed that Natalie and her dad have been estranged after her mother passed away, and this horrible incident with Mr. Mason getting killed right in front of her. The daughter, Natalie, never really bonded with her father very much after that. They've had a tenuous relationship at best. Now, when he's on his deathbed or close to it, of course, he's all sobs and sorries, but he was never really there for her. I did find that the scene there between Eric Lutz as the father and Chelsea Vale as Natalie, the daughter, the adult daughter, I thought that was pretty effective. I thought it said just enough. I think sometimes with movies, at least from my perspective, sometimes they struggle, not just TV movies, but all movies, they struggle with how much dialogue to put into a scene, how much sentimentality or how much emotion to put into a scene. I think it's always better to go too little than too much. but even better than too little is like right on the dot. And I think this scene was a situation where they were right on the dot, like it was just right, like Goldilocks. Laza's chiming in. Can't access friendly TV here in Australia unless I do that VPN shit. Well, do it. Might looking at trying to watch Secrets of the Museum through YouTube or a platform I can find it here in Aussie. I appreciate that, buddy. You can also watch Disregard the Vampire, a Mike Messier documentary for free on YouTube. But yes, please do look for Secrets at the Museum through a platform. That being the case, maybe I won't give away too many more exact plot details. I do want people to see this movie. Reminds me of me speaking with my dad a long time ago, and my dad actually wanted to go see a movie with me. And I'm going through all the movies in the newspaper, telling him what's playing. And I'm like, "Well, Dad, there's this. What was the movie with? Oh God, what's that guy's name? The guy with all the James Franco, and he's got his hand in the mountain, and it's was it 128 hours or 100 and whatever the fuck, 127 hours, right? So maybe I was close. I was only off by an hour. But I'm going through all the movies that are playing in the theater at the time, and this is 2010 apparently. I'm like, "Hey, Dad, you want to see 127 hours?" He's like, "What's that about?" I'm like, "Well, it's about a guy's climbing a mountain. He gets his hand stuck. I guess he has to saw off his hand to get out of the mountain." And my dad's like, "Oh yeah, I saw the real life guy on TV on the news. It seems interesting." I said, "Okay, great, Dad. Let's go see that movie." He's like, "I don't need to see it. I already know what happens." So how can you argue with that logic? So I never did see 127 hours, and neither did my dad, apparently. So let's see. Well, you have seen Disregard the Vampire, buddy. Very good, Laza. Well, I would refer you to The Impeccable or Dalmatian, all my other great stuff, Messier Mantra, over on One Man and a Camera Films. But of course, please look for Secrets at the Museum as well. And moving forth, um, so let's get into this Secrets at the Museum. I did like some of these themes. Like the themes of this movie, I think were really pretty strong, pretty loaded. At times, maybe I thought maybe there was one too many elements. I don't really know what I would take out. It would have. It's almost like a thing where you'd have to like unravel the whole script and then kind of like take out a thread and then re-ravel it. So maybe it's just kind of the writer in me always kind of wants to rewrite other people's scripts, but I felt like maybe there was just one too many characters or one too many relationships, perhaps. Beyond that, though, I felt that what was there was really interesting. Blood Sugar Sedace, buddy. Yes, yes, Blood Sugar Sedace. You're thinking of Sid. It was actually the character in the movie is Sid. You're thinking of my buddy Lawrence O'Leary as Sid. Yes, thank you. With this movie, I did feel like the elements of family grudges carrying over from one generation to the next. Obviously, the secrets motif is in there. I did find, on a very particular note, the art. There's a whole storyline of Alex, the boyfriend, Force's character, who's kind of doing like he's been told that he's supposed to be making these, I guess, tribute pieces of art, um, facsimiles or tribute pieces. But at times it's like he's just copying them, and I guess this really. I listened to a true crime podcast recently about this type of stuff. Forgery in the art world is actually a really big issue, and I guess to some level it's just an accepted part of that world. And also wine, believe it or not, there's like a whole thing with wine that people actually forge wine. Like they'll go through this whole hassle to kind of relabel, just table wine, just throw away wine, and try to repackage it and make it look like it's like an old wine, like a nicer wine than it is. So between those type of things, I mean, those are kind of upper crust crimes that I think a lot of people, when we think of crimes, we think of the big ones, your rape, your murder, all that horrible stuff. So we don't really give much thought, I guess, to forgery of art or forgery of wine or these kind of upper crust country club polo playing crimes, but they're crimes nonetheless. Okay. Um, People downloading movies for free is a crime. I mean, they don't want to admit to that. So I found that very interesting. Like, what is a tribute and what is plagiarism? You know what I mean? And as a writer myself, I've dealt with situations where people have tried to take my work and put their name on it, or whatever the fuck. And it does get you irate. If you have what I have, which is pride of ownership, pride of authorship. It can be very frustrating when you get into these situations where you feel like people are stealing your work. And even if the artist is deceased, it is a disrespectful thing to take credit for their work. Then we have things like, Chelsea's character of Natalie. She's in an interesting situation. She's kind of created this alternate existence for herself. She's kind of been a self made woman. She's gone off to college and never come back. She's taken on her deceased mother's name as kind of a silent FU to her dad. But when her dad is at the end of his life, she does feel the provocation to reclaim the family name. And I won't give away too much of the details, but there's also a storyline here where the son of Stephen Mason, the artist that's killed early, his son is trying to kind of avenge his dead father. Okay. So you have these things, like I said, generational combat, generational grudges. There's some pretty deep elements in this thing, which I don't know, like I said, to retool this movie. Uh, that might just be me kind of overthinking things, which I tend to do. It maybe just leave well enough alone. The other good thing about this movie, as I said on the End Action podcast, is Secrets of the Museum anything like Dan Brown stuff with secret societies? Asked Laza. I don't think so, Laza. I think the only thing that I'm referring to really is the name Freeman as far as the museum. I don't really think there was much as far as a secret society thing in this movie. I think it might have just been a little insider tip of the hat that the name Freeman is very close to Freemason. But once again, that could just be my imagination. Um, but I did find that there was a lot of stuff in this movie to chew on. The revenge aspects, the inheritance aspects. As a child, how much of your legacy do you owe to your parents? And if you owe that, what do you do to express that? I guess the other thing you could say is, while your folks are still alive, it's best to make good with them if you can, because you never know when someone's going to die. A parent could die first, a child could die first. I mean, that's one thing we all have in common, folks. We're all walking towards the grave, be it a slow walk or be it a fast walk. We're all headed to the same place. So, that's about it, folks. Sherlock Holmes with Robert Downey Jr., the first one on heaps of Freemason symbolism. I did see that movie, Sherlock Holmes, with who was Watson? It was that guy that we don't see much anymore. He was like a big actor for 5 minutes. Um, Good looking British guy. He had a very intense voice. God damn it. I'm trying to remember all these fucking people's names. Sherlock Holmes. Who was that other actor, buddy? He was in everything for a while, but he's not. I haven't seen him in either stuff. Who is that guy? Who played Watson? Jude Law. What the fuck's going on with Jude Law? Kelly Riley. Wow, who's that? So yeah, buddy, I did see this movie. Kelly Riley, my, British actress. Um, wow, I just got onto this Kelly Riley fucking wormhole here, buddy. Thanks. Anyway, I don't know what to say. It's Jude Law. That's who it is, buddy. Yeah, but where is Jude Law when you need him? So Jonathan Lipinski is in this movie. He plays a very important character of Derek. Dominique Swain plays Danielle. She was a friend of Mr. Freeman. Yeah, Jude Law. Ultimately, though, this kind of is the Chelsea Vale show. I mean, she plays Natalie Freeman. She was also the lead producer on this movie. Basically, I wouldn't say she's the only producer, but she's the producer. I mean, it's our buddy there, Glenn Ciano, another gentleman I've known forever, is the writer. But yeah, you had Chad Verdi Jr., Jacob Cooney, David Gear, Paul Luba, Chelsea Vales, all his producers. Composer did a nice job, David Bateman. Cinematographer Christopher By, editor Paul Stamper, casting director David Gear. Um, but yeah, I mean, this movie kind of did leave me thinking a lot. I mean, really about, like I said, these elements of family intertwining, um, revenge. How much do you owe the prior generation? How much does the prior generation owe you? There's certainly a lot of stuff going on here, and also, like I said in the And Action podcast, the fact that you can have a movie primarily at one location is very helpful. There are some other scenes, obviously, in this movie. It's not all in one location, but a primary location is nice. And like I said, I think Chelsea did a great job acting in this thing, and David brought it. Big stunt scene for him. My friend Tommy DiNucci's in here with an effective role, kind of bookending. He's kind of the Saving Private Ryan bookend in the movie of sorts. Um, any films, secrets of the museum remind you of that are comparable to give us ideas sort of film it is? Oh boy, Laza, what a question. Well, okay, if you've ever, I don't know if you have Lifetime movies over there, Laza, or if you've ever experienced them. There is a certain look, a certain feel to some Lifetime movies, not all, but a lot of times there are movies that they kind of feel like an R-rated movie without the nudity or the extreme violence. So put that paradigm in there, and oftentimes they're female led or they are of a certain woman in peril type of movie. And I think maybe 10 or 15 years ago, it was more extreme, where it was often a woman surviving like an abusive husband or an abusive relationship of some kind. That might have been more of the, 10, 20 years ago. I think now, as long as it's like a female-led story that could be, it kind of feels like an R-rated movie, except there's no swearing, no nudity, no bloodletting, but like adult, mature storylines, like not childish storylines. Now, as far as other movies, there was one with Julia Roberts a long time ago. I'm not sure if this exactly is like that, but the movie Sleeping with the Enemy, which I'm not sure even why I'm digging that one up, but Sleeping with the Enemy, I'm thinking of for some reason. Trying to think of other movies. I wouldn't say, I mean, when you hear a museum, I think our buddy Ben Stiller did a bunch of museum movies. This is definitely not like that. The Night at the Museum movies. No, it's Sleeping with the Enemy, buddy. Sleeping with the Enemy. I'm trying to think if there's any. It's not like the Ben Stiller thing at all, quite frankly, because that was a comedy. Um, yeah, so I mean, I'm trying to think here, pal. I guess I go back to the Sleeping with the Enemy, Julia Roberts, but okay, there was a few others. There was a movie, Ashley Judd, I think she did, which was Double Jeopardy. And I think she did another one called Eye of the Beholder with Ashley Judd. And once again, I mean, it's not a on the mark comparison, but somewhat in that image, buddy. You know what I mean? I mean, I guess in some regard, I'm thinking of my own movie, The Impeccable, the short film. But that's once again, it's not quite it's not really the same thing. I guess I'm thinking of Eye of the Beholder, which is a 1999 thriller movie with Ashley Judd, Ian McGregor, K.D. Lang, Patrick Bergen, Jason Priestley. Very interesting. And then the other one I mentioned, Ashley Judd, was Double Jeopardy. I guess I'm kind of thinking more in terms of the performance, from these female actresses or these female actors, however you want to put it. Double Jeopardy actually had Annabeth Gish, who I've actually been in an RV with, a van. Ashley Judd, of course, Tommy Lee Jones. Does that help? Does that help, buddy? Does that help? I mean, that's where I'm leaning towards. Michael Collins, I think I did see that one. It's been a long time. I mean, some movies stick out for me, and then others kind of get lost in the sauce. I don't know if I've seen Michael Collins. I'm thinking of In the Name of the Father. I want to look up that Michael Collins movie right now, buddy, because now you got me thinking. Gee whiz, 1996. I don't know if I saw this movie or not, pal. I don't think I did. I think I'm thinking of In the Name of the Father. Yeah, well, you know that I did work with Eric Roberts and Mr. Birthday, right, buddy? I'm probably a bigger fan of Eric Roberts, regardless of if a lot of his stuff are straight to video releases like Style of Films. Yeah, I understand, buddy. You loved Mr. Roberts, Eric Roberts, Expendables 1. Well, you've seen my wonderful interview with him. Okay, folks, so that's about it. I mean, I would just say, if you have the opportunity, like I did a nice little tutorial video on this channel on the shorts. If you want to get friendly TV, I know that with Laza, he's making all these considerations. He's got to hook up an antenna to a kangaroo's neck in order to get American television. He's got to he's got to put the antenna around the neck of the kangaroo, and then lift up the antenna thing, and then kick the kangaroo in the buttock, and the kangaroo has to go hopping towards town. On the one path of town, he's got to pass by the Royal Hotel, and then he's got to dance around in a circle in order for Laza to get any type of reception. Okay, so that's the type of sacrifice that my buddy Laza makes in order to watch these things. Anyway, folks, if you can, Lifetime Movie Network, you can get it through Friendly. You can do this, that, or the other. Congratulations to Chelsea Vale, David Gear, Tommy DeNucci, my other pals there in the movie. What was that? I was just trying to mention Tanya Melendez Lynch plays Florida. Scout Lyons is Harper. Very good cast here. Who was I trying to say? I was forgetting Tanya, who's I was trying to remember, and Eric Lutz. Everybody did a nice job. Forrest did a great job. So yes, see this movie. What is doing that to a kangaroo if the kangaroo dies? I enjoy kangaroo meat. Very good, buddy. Tie me kangaroo down, mate. Thanks for watching, and if you get a chance, see Secrets of the Museum, like Messier.